Yeah, and you kind of briefly just mentioned it there, and I kind of want to dig a little deeper here. You said that you walked away from your life as a Christian, but you grew up with a mother and a father, both as pastors. So, kind of walk me through your faith here a little bit.
I think I was probably was 6 years old when my parents converted to. They were Catholics and they converted to being evangelical Christians and Pentecostal. And my dad decided he wanted to study to be a pastor. And with time, I mean, he served in the church for like years. And with time, when we went to the States, he started like helping pastoring a small church in Fort Myers in Florida. And
Hmm.
that's how he progressed into becoming a pastor. He wasn't a pastor of a big church. He liked the family, small congregation type of thing. My dad passed away.
Real
Yeah,
intimate
he liked
setting.
that, like
Yeah.
knowing the people. Like I'm like if you were sick, he will go to your house and have a coffee, pray for you. He grew up in the same environment, grew up like that. Our pastor was a friend of the
Yeah.
family. It wasn't just like the big pastor that didn't know anybody and have bodyguards with him. It was just a regular. So he liked that kind of familiar scenario, and we grew up like that. But it was such a legalist. It was it was too legalities of the church. It was like so strict, so religious. So to me, it was kind of fanatic in a way, and everything was bad. Everything was wrong. So I got my ears pierced. I started getting tattoos, and I went the rebellious way. I didn't want nothing to do with the gospel. I didn't want nothing to do with church, even though I would always pray. I always remember that I had the fear of God on me because I got instructed as a kid to do it. But I decided that I didn't want to be a part of it. I'm like, I'm not going to be, dominated by religion. I'm not going to be dominated by anybody. I'm free to do whatever I want. And it got me in a lot of trouble for being like that. And as I grew older, I realized that it wasn't the right thing. And God started like touching my heart and making me understand that I had to go back to the path. And it was the right thing to do. And it's been working with me for a long time on many things. And I stopped like doing half of the things that I was doing in my life that I thought that I was doing right, and I wasn't doing them right. And dealing with girls, and breaking up with this girl and getting with another, and the drinking and the partying, and living a normal life that I thought that was normal, and it was really taking me away from God. And I got to a point when I realized that I had to stop that all the whole life, and I decided that I needed to get away from people that I knew and change my environment. And that was one of the reasons why I also thought about leaving the States. I figured if I stayed in the US, I was definitely going to like lose my brain. And it was like I had to stop. And it was a crazy decision because, I mean, it took me away from a lot of things. I wasn't an American citizen, I was a resident, and I lost my residency in the States because I left. But to God be the glory, man. I mean, I think it was the best decision I ever made. I feel 100% happy. I'm satisfied with the life that I live. I'm not gonna lie and tell you that I don't miss the States. I do miss it a lot, but I also understand that it was God's purpose. And I made some really good friends. I mean, I made some like along the way, especially doing this kind of work. I met some really amazing
Yeah.
people, man. I mean, I met like I had the opportunity to work with Mike Pence, the as vice president, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
worked with him, and I ended up having some really good conversation with him. I met some celebrities. I met some sport figures. I had a
Mm.
I had a good opportunity to meet a couple of UFC fighters, and it was really nice to like mingle with some of these cool people, and it's been nice and it's been interesting. Plus a lot of the stuff that I've done that I'm sure you probably have questions about that I have no idea how I got into. I'm like, oh, what am I doing here all of a sudden? Like, how am I with these people? Like, but it's cool because like you understand that everything has a purpose. I still don't know half of the reasons why this happened, but yeah, I think God knows what's going on. So eventually, I figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he does. He definitely knows. He just ain't gonna
Oh
tell
no, no,
you,
of course not.
you
He's
know.
gonna let me. I'll find out eventually, but he's not gonna tell me now.
Yeah. No, that's actually really interesting. I actually I went to school with one of Mike Pence's daughters and was in the same graduating class as her.
Oh,
So that was
he talks about
it's
his
really
daughters a
interesting.
lot. He has
Yeah.
some cool stories about his daughters. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a family man for sure. Um I am curious, um to kind of pick your brain on this a little bit, get your perspective on it a little bit. Because you were kind of saying about how you kind of lived a life of partying, you were um brought back to the right way, but now as we were kind of talking just this moment ago about how you're kind of conflicted with seeing all those clients of yours that will go and do drugs and will party, all that sort of stuff. Do you now see yourself as a warrior for Christ in those areas that you used to actually be a part of?
Absolutely, yeah. I definitely. I've actually met some few people that I usually tell my friends and like family that in this line of work, I have learned to make friends. More than clients, I've made a lot of really good friends. And some clients that have been in need of security for various reasons, all of a sudden today, I could call them my friends. Like we talk about a lot of things. And one of the things that I like the most is that I get to talk about God with them. I get to tell them about, what God has done in my life, and seeing the testimony of the things that I actually went through, and where I'm at today spiritually. And it's amazing how I've grown as a Christian man, and staying away from a lot of things that I don't agree with personally in my life, and had to see people do it. It's like, wow, it's amazing how, like for me, like for example, women. Is I think like most of the men's weaknesses is women, and being around 5, 6 different girls. Sadly, a lot of these girls are half naked, or in bathing suits, or available, if you want to call it, for anything, and having to understand that to you is just like doesn't really mean anything. I mean, as a man, you probably be like, oh, I could probably have any of these girls that I want to, just because most of those girls are like, I don't want to like be offensive, but most of those girls are already paid for, by the clients, and they're like, oh, if you want to have the girl, take her, she's there, whatever, she's available. And I'm just like, no, man. Like, and some of the girls actually offer themselves, because some clients, believe it or not, don't even want to touch these girls, because they just want to have the figure of a girl walking around there half nude. And then the girls are like, they feel like, oh my god, like I'm excited about being here, but nobody's touching me, so they're like, hey, wouldn't you be interested? Then having to tell some of these girls like, no, I don't do that, because I'm a family man, because I believe in God, and I don't think it's the right thing to do. So you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's crazy.
Thank God I'm a taken man.
Yeah, yeah. It's trust me, it's very hard. It's very hard to say no half of the time. It's very hard to be in that environment, and knowing that the flesh is telling you one thing, but the spirit is like, be like, hey, hold up, you here, but you don't belong here. And to me, it's been a test. I gotta tell you, most than anything, is been a test, and it's been a test of knowing that I'm in a place with a bunch of drunk and crazy guys, and they're drinking and doing shots of tequila, which I really love when I was doing my earthly thing. And then you have a
Yeah,
bunch of girls walking around partying, and that was like, well, I'm in the middle of my environment, but I'm not here. Like, how am I? So me, like, one of my buddies, the Angel, he was an ex-police officer. He's a really cool guy. He's also a very Christian man. I love the guy to death, because he's like, to me, he's one of my partners in this business, and he keeps me like centered a lot of times when I see the way that he lived a life kind of similar to mine. And even though he was a police officer, he lived a promiscuous life. I mean, he was all about like every girl that he could get his hands on. And today we're in the middle of this environment, and he's like, hey, listen, drop your AirPods on, and listen to this pastor preach about this, or listen to this song. Or he's always like helping me like stay grounded when it comes to this, and it helps me a lot, because I'm in the lead position, so I have to be always on top of. I'm like very hands on with my clients. I don't like leaving my job to anybody else. I'm there. I'm always consistently with them, and I'm always like, on top of what are they doing, and I'm a phone call away, and they, Alice, I need you to come back, and I'm like, I'm there. And he's always telling me like, hey, listen, I got this, I got that, listen to this, listen to that, and he's always doing it. So I'm like kind of seeing, I know God put him there for a purpose, and to me it's important to have him, because I could have a different person that likes the same kind of life, and it could just probably,
Yeah.
be it'd be something that it would not help me. It probably push me back out, and I don't want to do that. So it's
Yeah.
to me, I know that's what I'm saying. God works in mysterious ways, and me being friends with him, it's been different. It's been great because he's a good friend, and not only a friend, he's a brother. He's a
Yeah.
brother in Christ, and to me, it's perfect. It's a perfect setup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm. Hey, Arp and Shiron's iron,
Yeah,
man.
no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
And one thing
I
before I
cut.
continue, before I finish, one thing I wanted to tell you that is
Yeah.
seeing that people do these kind of things has actually made me question a lot of times if this is the right thing that I'm doing. And I've prayed a lot about it. Like, you know what, God, I don't want to be in the middle of this. Like when it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm in a nightclub with a bunch of drunken people. I'm like, this is not my environment. Why am I here? But I know there's got to be a purpose behind it because I'm there for a reason. I know that I'm there for a reason, and I don't want to be there. I mean, I'd rather be somewhere else. And when I work
Yeah.
with executives, they're home by 10:30. I'm like, this is beautiful. They're back at the hotel by 10:30. I'm already relaxed. I'm not. I might just the most we'll probably do is go out to a restaurant with them and eat. That's the most I could do with them, and be with them all day long. It's
Yeah.
kind of boring. These guys have a fun life. I mean, they go on the boats, they go on the planes, the helicopters, they do all these fun activities. But it's an empty activity. So it's like being in a security work in this environment is really hard because you have one aspect which is the business part, which I like a lot, the executive protection, and then you have these taking care of babysitting party people. So it's like two things,
Yeah.
but it's all fun work. Don't get me wrong, but and it pays well, but you kind of have to put your morals in between. It's kind of yeah. Anyway, so
Yeah.
wanted to just throw a
Yeah.
little piece in there.
No, I'm actually kind of surprised that you were talking about how Navy officials you kind of became like their driver. It's actually, I mean, I'm shocked that like the US military doesn't already have like a designated person to be that officer's driver. It's just like, all right, who we got? All right, we'll grab Alex. Like he's your security driver now. That's actually kind of surprising to me, knowing how like organized the military
Yeah,
is.
believe it or not, it's and it's something that it might seem crazy, but it's every country that they go, they have to hire third party. So they have different
Really?
military contractors do a lot of work that the U.S. government doesn't do. For example, if I'm
Okay.
sure, and I've never been to Iraq, but I'm sure in Iraq they probably have like on the ground contractors to do a lot of stuff that they're not going to put a couple of sergeants or a couple of privates to go drive I don't know, a couple of officers around. Why would we do that when we could have these other guys that we're not going to pay him, not going to put him on a military salary to go do some temporary work for 15 days? Plus, they don't know the city, so why would I have somebody drive around a city that they don't know about?
Ooh.
So
Yeah, get that home field
exactly.
advantage. Yeah.
So that's why I think that these private contractors like we do, we come in handy because we know the city, we know the groundwork, and for us it's a regular day. We know how to get around them. You might be able to drop Google Maps and they might take you to routes. I know a couple of shortcuts that will not even appear in Google Maps. And I might avoid situations knowing that you might see something happen here in the map, but I know that trust me, it's this way is better.
Hmm.
So when we get clients to come in, and a lot of times even them, when we get these type of clients to come in, we usually do a day or two before. We map out a lot of routes and we do some advancement work, and we just go around seeing where the nearest hospitals are and nearest police stations, exit routes, and we see all the venues we're going to be visiting. So a lot of this work pretty much is preparation, and before we actually engage into any situations that we normally don't get into, we prevent work, and most of our work is preventive. We're not going to be doing things that normally people will be like, oh yeah, you're doing security work and you're going to be shooting it out with everybody every day. It doesn't work like that. We prepare a lot of things before we actually go on the field, and not only ourselves, but we prepare the groundwork for the client to land. When the VIPs come in, pretty much everything's done. We know where we're going to park, we know where we're going to land, we know where we're going to go, which routes we're going to take, how many cars are going to be on the road. Pretty much know everything. We know there's going to be a construction site going on, a major repair on the road, and we know we got to avoid that kind of traffic, and we got to avoid some places, and the restaurant that we're gonna go to, we know there's a threat down the road, so we're gonna avoid going to that place, and we suggest something else. And people sometimes like here happens is you coming to do work in Colombia, and you coming to visit a couple of potential clients for a major business. The clients live here, or the Colombians, or they live in the city, and they're used to like driving around the city all day because they got used to the city. But we know that you're not from here, so we're not going to put you in jeopardy, because we got to make sure that even though the client here might feel comfortable with it, we're not going to feel comfortable, because we're seeing that there's something potentially wrong with the way that things are being managed by somebody else that doesn't know anything about security work. So we prepare the groundwork before we have the client arrive.
Yeah. So you guys have a contingency plan for the contingency plan for the contingency plan of the original
We
plan.
had to have a few X's. Yeah, we had to have a few different plans in motion just as we go along, and we usually monitor movements, transportation, as we have different people, especially when clients come from out of the state, from out of here, from out of Colombia. We usually have 5 or 6 people in a chat that we usually are giving constant information to. We are here, we stop here, we left here, we're gonna make a quick stop on the road to do this, and it's constant information. And once you have the constant information, it minimizes risk, because if something wants to happen from point A to point B, you know where it went wrong. So you don't have to go dig the whole channel. You just figure the little pieces where everything went wrong. And if something was to happen, which thank God it hasn't happened, we could figure it out the next time that it don't happen. But a lot of times the next time might just cost people's lives, and that's what we're trying to prevent from happening.